Hello, this is Steve Powers. Today I want to go over the making of a alien buggy sketch that I did recently. It's nothing intricate really. I mean, it started out with um, basically just doodles and in pencil, and ended up with this, what you're seeing here. So this is a graphite. This is done on graphite on a smooth 60-pound paper, a sketchbook, and the border and signature were done in Photoshop, as well as some cropping. So basically, let me show you the first sketch that I had. Here we are, and this is just one that I did in a red coal erase pencil. Really, it is the doodle. I think I was on the phone. I was just sketching while I was on the phone. I kind of like the idea, kind of like an egg or what have you. And this guy just kind of came out of that. A bird coming out of an egg or whatever. But I saw more as a vehicle. Yeah, so I did it again over here, and you can see I wrote it down what I used. It was a 7mm pencil, Bic pencil, one of those 12 for $1 specials, which is a very great drawing tool. You can do a lot with it. I mean, it's just a line sketch. I'm not really doing much shading or anything like that. But you can see it was just enough to give me an idea. So from that idea, which it all starts, I took it in here and I added values and what have you. This is 9 by 12. And I really did not intend to necessarily display it per se. I wasn't thinking composition at the beginning. I guess it's something you should always kind of have an idea of. Something when you're thinking design, or when you're designing a character, or in this case a ship, a vehicle, and a character, you have to give it personalities. You have to think of storylines. Why is this guy in this thing? Is this supposed to be armored? Is this supposed to be like a military vehicle? Is it an exploration vehicle? Is it just a car to get to and from work? You can tell a little bit from his design that he's the commander of this ship, where he would stand in a mobile vehicle for military whatever, but the tires are designed to go up over hard terrain, rocky terrain, but it's more comical than military-wise. So, but my biggest problem was I really wasn't thinking composition. I wasn't thinking an environment to display him in. So, or display the vehicle in, because really it is about the buggy and not him. So with that, I did a couple thumbnail sketches, and realistically, these are about the size of my thumb. They're maybe, 1.5 by 1 tall, if that. And you can see where I was just trying to figure out the background. Do I want rocky, or do I want something that open sky? Is it going to be nighttime or daytime? And I think I've already figured out daytime. You can see with this one where the light is coming from straight up here, and you can see from the shadow how it's coming down. So it's getting a lot of light, and you can see underneath it's getting dark. So it's definitely a daytime image. So I decided on the first one over here, and evidently you can see that from the final image that I showed you at the beginning. And this right here is a scan into Photoshop, so I could figure out the values and also play around with the landscape a little quicker. And for digital, I could have gone, the gradient from the dark to the light easily. But with doing this in graphite, where honestly to get graphite as dark as it is at the very top is very hard, because you layer it, unless I'm using water-soluble graphite, but in this case I wasn't. I was on 60-pound paper, so it has to be dry material. And so I was also probably being lazy too, so I decided to make it a little bit simpler and just throw some sketched in very thin clouds, and have a couple moons, distant moons up there to show that, hey, I'm on a distant planet. I mean, this is definitely not Earth, because you're not going to see that from Earth. And I will also, some of these sketches, some of the little lines or what have you, just ended up being, buildings. Maybe a couple different buildings, or what have you, little satellite dish, whatever. I mean, this is just very basic design sketch. I spent most of my time right here. Essentially, that is the focal point. So don't get caught up putting in too much detail in the backgrounds. I think these hills definitely could have been darker, and if I go to do a painting, I'm sure I will be. Adding color to a design is the last step. Really, you want to get the line right. You want to get the shapes right, and then you want to get your values in here that you like, and then you can take it to a color. It's a little bit more controllable um, if you do it in steps. Otherwise, you might you can easily get overwhelmed with doing this stuff. So the last step I took, it was here. I darkened in the foreground because it was the values I was still having a hard time with all the way to the end. I kept adding in. I think these are. I used the 6B stick across what was already there and darkened it up a little bit more. I also lifted some of the edges on the left-hand side of these that are facing the light, similar to this, to make it a little bit more. I lifted that with a kneaded eraser. Beautiful thing about working with charcoal or graphite, um, you can put it down, and if you don't like it, you can take it right back off. And you can add, I think that's a little bit more of a line that I would normally have in real life, but I just wanted to make it look that's where the light's coming from, which also um, directly makes the contrast of the opposite side darker. So if you can't make it darker, try to make one side lighter. Um, so you can still see I got some rough edges there and what have you. So uh, going back to the final image, I definitely cropped out some of the foreground, made it a little bit nicer. At least I thought so anyways. Put a border on it and then the signature. But this process, it's not necessarily what I'm doing. In this case being the subject matter, this could work for any vehicle, any character. Start with a sketch, work it out in the simplest form, which is really the easiest, the quickest, less time consuming, because if it doesn't look right small, it's probably not going to look right large. So always work small to large. Try to get the line and the idea and the values done before you get any of the detail in. The detail will come in the final stages. Well, that brings this tutorial to a conclusion, or rather this overview to a conclusion. And hopefully you did learn something from it, and something you can apply to your own work. And you guys have a good day. See you next time. Thank you.